All right, what's going on?
Not much.
Welcome to the new studio. All of
Thanks.
our millions of listeners are going to be very impressed that we're
I know.
moving up.
Not in the garage anymore.
Yeah, man, maybe I should put that in the show about the text message prank with the orange Corvette model car.
That'd be kind of funny. You might have to reword it a little bit.
Yeah, probably. So, yeah, man. So we both saw the movie
What movie?
Gran Turismo.
That's right.
So, dude, I feel like that's our movie, man. Like,
I feel like it's every car guy's movie. Well, I guess
damn.
not every, but
Because like we played a crap ton of. Did you play Gran Turismo growing up, or just Forza?
I did a little bit on like PS1, PS2, but then
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I started really getting into Forza. I think is when I really started playing more racing or I guess more simulation type games. Yeah.
You played some stuff on the computer, didn't you? Play what was that drifting game that you used to play? You said was really realistic.
Um, back in, I'm trying to remember how old I was. I think I was in middle school or high school, but it was a game called Live for Speed, and
Oh,
they, I think it was Live for Speed, but anyway, they didn't actually have any real cars in it, but they had really, really good physics. So I used to play that a lot.
that's cool. Yeah, that was like the same thing with me. Was I played a little bit of Gran Turismo 3 on the PS2,
Hmm.
and then yeah, it was like all Forza. But yeah, that man, seeing that movie makes me wish I had the simulator again. You know,
I feel like it might be time to pick one up again.
dude, seriously. You know what's crazy is like I did some research on that guy, and he had a Porsche Fanatic steering wheel, which was like
Just
remember like the one that I used to have. I was like, oh
yeah,
my gosh, that's crazy.
they've come a long way. They've changed so much if you look them up now.
Dude, I can imagine because the last one I had was that Thrustmaster in 2017 when we chopped my mattress in half to fit it.
That's a funny
That's a
story.
whole nother story that, oh my God. So maybe I'll just say it because it is pretty freaking ridiculous. And you don't have to be embarrassed because I asked you to do it.
I'm not
So
embarrassed.
I lived in a little casita and I asked Josh, hey man, come on over. Let's chop my mattress in half so I can fit this simulator in there. So we literally drew a line with a Sharpie, grabbed the kitchen knife, and literally chopped my bed in half so we could fit a simulator. So if you look at the before and after, it's like this big bed and then small bed and simulator.
Imagine that was in the Gran Turismo movie, dude. He is so dedicated.
It like shows him like, and we were playing the Mustang Nismo song. And, like he's chopping his bed in
You still
half.
have that video?
I wish I had that video.
Oh
Oh my
no, you don't
goodness.
have it.
Oh my gosh. So back to the movie. So for one thing, it's a little surprising. I don't know if you saw, but the movie actually isn't doing that well.
Probably
They
not. It
might they
doesn't seem
might
like.
break even or make a little money.
I feel like it kind of seemed like not as broad, like big as a lot of these other movies that come out.
Yeah, like
Um,
Oppenheimer,
yeah, I
like
think
Christopher Nolan film.
it didn't have any like big movie stars. It was yeah.
Yeah, I told my dad that. I was like, yeah, it didn't really have any big movie stars in it. I think the most famous guy that I recognized was the kid's dad.
Who was the kid?
He, I don't know his name, but
Oh, yeah, I
he was
know
in
who you're
Never
talking.
Back Down and
Yeah,
Blood Diamond.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Um, but yeah, it's really a shame, dude, because that's literally possibly like one of my like probably possibly my favorite movie right now. Is like I mean that I always love true story movies, but yeah, what an incredible story. I mean, it's just I'm still like fathoming. It's incredible. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I mean it's. I think a lot of people actually didn't even realize it was a real true story.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think they knew that that was something that actually happened. It
Yeah.
didn't seem like it was like such a big thing, but I remember when it was in the news that if you were like a top 10 driver on I don't even know what track it was, but on Gran Turismo
Mm,
back then you could be eligible to compete and become like a real pro race car driver.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
So I was telling my dad, and I kind of thought about it. And it's like there is no end or limit to how many hours one of these sim racer guys can put in on a track. Like, you don't need gas, you don't need tires, you don't need oil, you don't need a team, like, you don't need fire and safety out there. Like, these guys can invest thousands of hours, unlimited, whenever they want. So they don't even need internet, you know?
Yeah.
Like, just, and a lot of them, and I think this was even mentioned in the movie, they probably have more hours on some of these tracks than the guys that really race them.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I
definitely.
think that's inevitable.
And I think it was interesting in the movie, they were kind of disputing the fact that you could put that much effort into a sim and how it could translate into a real track.
Yeah.
But in comparison, like, think about all these other simulators, like flight simulators. A lot of pilots use that for training, and if I feel like if you can use that for training on to fly a plane, why couldn't you do it for a race car?
That's a good point. Yeah, I remember you showed me that one on that crazy computer that you had,
Yeah.
and I was like, dude, if I was into planes, oh my goodness, man, you literally have the world in your screen, like fly wherever. It's incredible, man. It's
Yeah.
unreal. And yeah, even like Forza 2, even Forza 2, how old that game was, the depth of tuning that you could get into.
Mm-hmm.
I know in the movie it showed him like buying a spoiler from McLaren or whatever, but there's a whole other layer of depth beyond that of tuning, and you were better at this stuff than me, but tuning like gear ratios and brake bias and just tire pressures and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot you can do, and I feel like when you can understand how it translates into the real world, I definitely think that you can do it in the real world.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think to some degree, especially on some of these steering wheels,
Mm-hmm.
there are some aspects where the game is actually harder, if you ask me, like than real life.
Mm-hmm.
Because in real life, you can feel, you have your own inner sort of G meter where you can feel what the car is doing, whereas in the game, like, you can't, and it's a little bit of a coordination game, figuring out mirroring what your wheel is doing versus the screen. And in some ways, I think it's a little bit harder than real life.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people would probably dispute being able to translate into real life is, can you, once you're in a race car and you do feel the forces and you have G forces pulling you in a certain direction,
Yeah.
like, do you think you can handle it?
Yeah.
Because when they say race car drivers are athletes, a lot of them are. Like, think about Formula One, like the physical tests that they have to do
Yeah.
and withstand to be able to actually race properly. You know.
Yeah, that was something good that they kind of shed light on in the movie, was the demands, the physical demands, like taking these gamers and making them into athletes too was a big part of what they were showing,
Yeah.
which was really cool, you know?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's just something to think about. I think a lot of people can pick up the controller or the steering wheel, but I guess if you ever wanted to translate in real life, like, you have to think about that aspect too.
Yeah. For me, I think what would be the hardest part of going from the game to real life would be being able to commit into some of these corners at the speeds that they are. You know what I mean? Like, to me, that would be the hardest thing.
Well, like they said in the movie, like, there's no reset button. Like,
Yeah.
if you take that corner too shallow or it's too wide and you understeer into a wall, like, that's it.
Yeah. That was really amazing to me, is like it really takes guts, because you think about how fast the GTR is,
Mm-hmm.
how fast you can send these cars into these corners and to compete at pretty much the highest level. I mean, to be like, there are very few people on this planet that can drive a GTR 95 to 100% of the car's potential, and to do that and to be sending these cars into these corners, like, to be able to commit and have no fear. That's, like you said, there's, in the game you can hit rewind, you're fine if you crash, but in real life, like, that's your life, and for that, those sim drivers to combat that fear and push those cars like that was probably the most amazing, craziest part to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you also have to think like just taking the risk of your life is obviously the ultimate one, but then you have the financial part of it, and I mean, other people's lives are involved. I mean, the wreck that, I mean, one of the impacts that he had was the wreck that happened to kill someone who was watching the
Yeah.
race, and I don't know how I would react to that if I knew that. I mean, although it was an accident, like it was still my accident, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true. You could kill yourself, or you could kill somebody else on the track, or in that case, a spectator. And it's like even the kid was doing everything right, and he still had a terrible crash. You
yeah,
know, and when it comes to racing, you always see like the highlights and the cool stuff, but bad things happen. Guys get brain damage. Guys get burnt literally. Like terrible things can happen. So yeah, it was pretty crazy, man. I really enjoyed that movie, and it was eye opener. It's like damn.
I agree. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, I'd go check it out.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, moving on from the movie, I hope we didn't spoil any of that too much. To some latest car news. So, the Mustang GTD, we've talked about a little bit.
Yep, another race car.
So, I don't know that I've ever would have thought we'd live in a world where there could be a $300,000 Mustang, but it reminds me of that Need for Speed movie. Talk about movies. It's like a real supercar.
Oh, I know. But in the Need for Speed movie, I think they were after like the GT 500, and that was kind of the highest you could get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty remarkable. Well, now, because like in that movie, not to keep talking about all these different movies, but in Need for Speed, it was a little bit hard to catch on that, there's this modded Mustang. Not that it could, or couldn't, but it could, keep up with Ferraris and Porsches and stuff. A little bit far-fetched, but now they actually made a Mustang that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying it's 800 horsepower, I think.
I can't remember the specs right off the top of my head. Maybe we can pull them up.
Yeah, they're saying it's, let's see here, 5.2. It's a supercharged 5.2, so basically the 500 engine. And supposedly it is a sub 7-minute Nürburgring time, which is absolutely insane.
It really is. I think that's the part that I'm not sure of until they have an official time, whether I can agree or disagree with the price. Because if you can get below that, was it 7-minute mark?
Yeah.
Then you're in the regions of cars that are beyond that $300,000 price point,
Yeah.
And a lot of people argue like, "Well, I would never buy a Mustang for $300,000," but to think that you're competing in a car that it is a Mustang, yeah, it's $300,000, but there's all these other cars that are a little bit more exclusive and probably out of that price range, and you're keeping up with them or potentially beating them is insane.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we were younger, like, the Corvettes and the Paganis and Porsches were in the mid sevens, low sevens, or, maybe mid sevens and under sevens, which was like ridiculous. It was like unbelievable.
Yeah.
And speaking of the GTR, same thing. That car was kind of in the mid low sevens.
Right.
And yeah, and to have anything be under 7 is just unbelievable. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of reminds me of the Carrera GT in a sense that it's not a street car that was made to be a race car. It's actually a race car that's meant to be a street car. So, yeah, they've literally taken an actual race car and made it legal.
Oh, can you register and drive it on the street?
Pretty sure, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's a road legal car.
That's pretty amazing. I wonder.
I could be wrong, but I was under the impression that it was a road legal car.
That would be awesome. I don't know if there's anything in comparison to that. Like, is the Porsche Club Sport a comparable car to that?
Club Sport? Which one is that?
That's essentially like a race car, like just like that, just the track oriented Porsche.
I'll have to look that up. Porsche Club Sport. It says, oh yeah, it is. So the Mustang GTD revealed as a street legal race car.
Wow.
So it is. Let me look at that real quick. Porsche. You said Club Sport.
I believe it's the Club Sport.
Club Sport 911?
Yeah.
Interesting. Let's see which Porsche that is.
I believe. I hope I'm not.
Maybe it's a GT2 RS Club Sport? Oh, it looks like the Club Sport might be a package.
I'm not sure which one I was looking at, but essentially it is like just a.
Just a track car?
Yeah.
I know that Pagani made a car like that. That was just a million, kind of like the Ferrari FXX, you know?
Okay,
Like
yeah.
that's just a track car. I know Pagani made a car like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this thing is crazy. You can actually drive it on the street. That's nuts.
I wonder if I wonder if Ford is going to do something similar to like the Ford GT, where they had you apply to actually purchase it. I don't know if you saw that for the Ford GT.
I think I remember hearing you had to be an influencer, prove you're gonna drive it, and not sell it for
Yeah.
so many years or something.
Yeah, exactly. So like if they purchase this Mustang, then you're sure that it's going to be driven rather than just a collector's item.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they would. I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. I just think it's funny that there's always been this battle with Porsche and kind of like GM with, their Camaros and their Corvettes.
What are some of the cars that would be right past that sub 7 minute mark? And let's see what we're comparing it to.
Let's see. So, the new Ferrari 296 GTB is sub 7.
What does that cost?
That's a good question. I don't know how much that one costs. Let me see what else. Oh, here we go. I'm sure it costs quite a. Okay, so Porsche 918 Spider. That's $1 million car. The Lamborghini Huracan Performante. 911 GT2 RS.
What generation?
991.
Okay.
Yeah, 991. Some other car, Neo, I haven't heard of. Lamborghini, the Aventador LP770 SVJ. Wow, I didn't know that. That's crazy. Yeah, so these are some heavy hitter cars. I'm sure there's other ones, but
Just to name a few. You know what kind of competition you're putting yourself in.
I mean, that's Porsche 911 GT2 RS. That's and the 918 Spider. Those are like the highest performing cars Porsche's pretty much ever made. You know, obviously the Carrera GT for its time, but in these times, and then so pretty much the heaviest hitters from Porsche, Lamborghini. So pretty crazy that Ford came out of nowhere with this Mustang and kind of claimed itself a spot.
Yeah, I guess we'll see once they actually come out with the reg. I don't think they actually posted a time yet, have they?
I guess not, but they seem very confident. They're touting that it will be under 7 minutes. So
I think the claim is there until
it's
all talk.
bad. Yeah, if you claim that and you don't actually do it, I think. Okay, let me ask you. You think they're gonna do it?
I feel like they definitely have the setup for it. The car looks like it's set up for it. It has the power to back it up, but like I said, it's all talk until there's something posted,
Yeah, and it has to be legit. Like you can't have illegal tires. You can't have, it has to be like truly a stock car, a car that will be put into production to make that claim. I think they will do it. I think because it essentially is a race car, like a GT3 class car. The power, it really has more, in my opinion, more power than it probably needs because we've seen with the GT3 RS. I think it was like in the mid 500s and it set a remarkable time. Right. So it has the power. The chassis, I think the chassis itself, I know the S550 platform was good, but it seems like this is a completely new design.
I think a good comparison to see like what a step in performance for the Mustang on a track would probably just be to look at like a GT350R, because
Yeah.
that was at the time like peak Mustang performance on the
Yeah.
track.
It's funny that, like, you kind of mentioned that and you think to yourself, in recent history, obviously Mustangs were racing back in the Trans Am series years ago, but it kind of almost started with the 2013 Boss or 2012 Boss 302.
Right.
That was like the most dialed in live rear axle Mustang for a track. Then the Shelby GT350. And then you said the 350R, which I've heard is like an American GT3 RS. It's an unbelievable car. So it's pretty amazing that really these Mustangs haven't been in this realm of trying to be a track star like this, going around corners really that long.
No, definitely not. I feel like most of the time you think Mustang, you think straight line. And that's probably a given for most American cars. And so it'll be interesting to see if we have another contender for an American car that can go around on a track.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know, man. We'll see. I know that the new 500, even though it's very heavy, that car. I mean, really, ever since they went to the S550 platform, it had the independent rear suspension. Like the Mustang as a package is completely different. I mean, now it's almost like more or less a sports car than some wild supercharged Crown Victoria. It's completely changed. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's some interesting car news there. And, yeah, hopefully they get under 7 minutes. I think they will.
I mean, I hope they do, but I'm still skeptical. So
Yeah, it's not. That's a pretty crazy claim, under 7 minutes.
yeah, I guess
So
we'll see what happens.
I'm almost wondering if the 4GT did that.
Honestly, I don't even know.
Dang, I might have to check. It'd be pretty crazy if their Mustang beat that time. Let's see. 4GT. Oh, the 04 did it in 752.
I mean,
But I wonder what the most recent. The Shelby G350R did 732. That's crazy, man. I don't know where the newest one stands. It's somewhere in here, but I think that's all we need to know as far as.
I mean, GT350R is still.
Good.
That's a long ways away.
30 freaking seconds. Obviously, it's a big track, but 30 seconds? Holy crap.
Well, I mean, to go from that to, sub 7 minutes that's a big jump.
Yeah, it is. But, yeah, I mean, aside from that, man, Nissan 350Z's coming along.
I think so. Finally got the fuel system in today.
Today we had to snake that baby through.
That was a little frustrating, just so everyone has some background to the 350Z stock. Comes with what's called a returnless style fuel system. So it only flows in one direction. It gets pumped into the fuel feed line into the engine, and that's it. Which isn't ideal for performance. Performance, a lot of cars you'll want what's called a return style. And so you're not providing fuel on demand, you're providing fuel at capacity, essentially. And it returns the fuel that is unused. So today I had to install the return line, and that was just not a good time. I mean, you helped me out a little bit, but essentially we had to squeeze this AN line between this small little crevice between the chassis and the fuel tank, and it just was not fun. I think what were we at like 2 or 3 hours until I finally got it somehow. So
Yeah. I finally had to give up. I was like, I almost couldn't believe how you figured that out. I was like, oh my gosh.
I don't know. I figured it out too. I was gonna give it one last shot, and if I couldn't do it, I was gonna put up for the day. But
That's
finally got
crazy.
it. Yeah.
Dang. Yeah. So, the engine looks awesome. I mean, you got the block painted. You got the turbo on. You got that thermostat on.
Yeah.
You have the manifold
Yeah, I have
exhaust.
the exhaust and the intake manifold.
And the intake manifold. So the engine I was looking at today, it looks like, wow, like a really.
It's ready. It's essentially ready to drop in. All I have to do is install the flywheel and the clutch, put on the adapter to mate it to the CDO9, and then the last thing I have to do before I mate it is actually just check the clearance for the starter. And if it clears, then we're good to go. If it doesn't, I might just have to trim a little of the bell housing off of the CDO9, but
So it's pretty much good to go almost, huh?
pretty much,
Wow.
yeah.
And the engine, you can, like, the mounts are set up and everything?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. It's going by quick. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, it's slow, then all of a sudden, it's like, boom. It all happens at once.
Yeah, I think so, because, I mean, it's when I was putting the engine together, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I definitely relied on some experience from some friends.
That's good, man.
But I've learned a lot so far, so hopefully wrapping up this month.
Yeah.
First start coming soon.
Dang, dude, it would be awesome if that thing is, like, really driving around. You can rip on it by, like, I would say, I don't know, by this fall time, maybe.
I'm hoping for it because that's boost season, so hopefully it lines up just perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to enjoy Vegas weather when it's not triple digits.
Definitely not. I don't even think I want to tune the thing when it's in triple digits, so hopefully I line this up.
Yeah. Awesome, man. So, anything else you want to touch up on?
I don't think
That's
I have
pretty
anything.
much it, man.
Yeah.
Last little segment, funny thing. Got some suggestion from friend Lino was if you had to compare two cars to two celebrities, what would your two choices be?
Off the top of my head, I might have to think about that one for the next episode. What do you have?
Dang, I might have to think about it. Oh man, I probably should have had a couple. Well, I'll tell you one that. Okay, I'll tell you one that he came up with, and then one that I came up with. He said Judge Judy was a Duesenberg because he said it reminded him of Cruella de Vil. I said Julia Roberts was like an Alfa Romeo 8C, it's classy, you know.
Why do you say that? I mean, classy, but what else?
I think just an elegant, beautiful looking car,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Dang, I feel like we got to come up with at least one.
Well, with all the talk about Mustangs, who's someone you'd compare to the Mustang? More specifically, if we had to pick a celebrity for this new, is it the GTB?
The GTD.
GTD.
Dang, that's tough. Maybe a Mustang in general. I don't know.
Well, maybe we'll leave it up to suggestions from anyone viewing
Yeah,
this.
whoever's watching this, we'll have two ready to go. This might be a new funny segment for us, but leave them in the comments. Two celebrities you'd compare two cars to.
And then maybe a third one for the Mustang.
Yeah, then who would we say the Mustang GTD would be like? I'm thinking maybe someone from the Expendables. Like Sylvester Stallone or somebody? Nah, he'd probably be more like a older Shelby.
Probably a little bit more rough and kind of just raw. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the GTD is a little bit more refined. It's like it's meant to go at,
Yeah. We'll come up with it. Leave them in the comments. But yeah, man, so are you posting this build? Is there a place where people can follow it? Or just catch up on it by watching this podcast?
Probably catch up on the podcast. I'm documenting it as I build, but I think I'm just going to do one reveal when it's done.
Nice. All right, man. Sounds good. I'll leave your Instagram handle in the description. So you might get 100,000 followers after this. I'm just kidding. Maybe one or two. But anyways, everybody, thank you for watching, and happy Monday.